It's clear that the whole world will have to deal with them for a longer time, unfortunately. Our Arab countries darkly need an inclusive strategy to deal with the state of the extended crisis. In my estimation, it requires long-term thinking in order to immune the Arab societies and enhance its resilience facing many shocks and surprises. I'm fully convicted that this thinking can be crystallized only within a collective framework and integrated approach, Mr. President. Arabs can do a lot, like you mentioned. And also the President, Kais Saied said, if they mobilize the Arab potential, which is large and diverse, correctly and with scientific methodology, the Arab food strategy proposed to the summit is only a model and one example for what Arab countries can do collectively facing its crises. The international situations aggravate the problems of our countries. They surprise the Arab countries and Arab region, while it's still in one of the most dangerous crises in its modern history. The Arab region unfortunately witnessed a really difficult decade, and some Arab countries are still going through situations that does not only threaten their own stability and security, but also their existence. The national sovereign state and with the independence and independent decision are still attacked in some Arab regions, including terrorism, militias, and armed groups, in addition to non-Arab parties neighboring the Arab region that practice bad interventions in the Arab societies in order to influence and control. Defending the national state, the state of citizenship and the rule of law, that the citizens are only loyal to its flag, interests, and its Arab identity. It's a defense for our future. These bloody conflicts are a threat for all of us. I call upon you, the leaders of the nation, not to leave these injuries affect the present and the future of the nation. I know that many Arab countries do a lot to mitigate the effects of the crisis and to support their Arab brothers and ordeals. For example, many countries host hundreds of thousands of the Syrian refugees, and other countries do their best so our brothers in Yemen and Somalia will not face starvation. But honestly, stopping the Arab crisis, not only mitigating them, becomes more necessity than any time before. It's not acceptable to put the responsibility of our Arab nation crisis on the international society that is concerned with other stressing crises. The Arab will, in my estimation, can effectively intervene to settle the Arab crisis if they collected their group powers. The League of Arab States is a result of the efforts of the big powers. Its ability to move is related to the support and authorization given by the states. Here I mean the League of Arab States. It can only move if there is a united will and consensus. I'm an advocate of the Arabization of the solutions and settlement of the crises facing our countries. The problems are indeed complex where there are many interests and at the international and regional levels, in addition to many interventions. But as Arabs, we understand each other. We know the limits of our interests more than any other external party. This is an invitation to enhance the Arab participation in settling the Arab crises. We wish that this will achieve positive results. Mr. President, the developments in Syria still require pioneer Arab efforts that puts the Arab fingerprint on the map of settling the complex situation in this very important Arab country, in addition to showing flexibility in order to stop the darkness of the economic collapse and to turn the page of the past with its pain, and trying to establish a new situation, allow Syria to participate in the normal Arab surrounding and the League of Arab States. Since Syria is an establishing country since 1945, in Libya we closely follow up all the developments. We say that the matters require more flexibility from all the Libyan parties with the help with an Arab help in the first place, which is possible to overcome all the obstacles before the elections in the future. The League of Arab States will follow up the situation objectively, putting before our eyes achieving the aspirations of Libyan people on the basis of the decisions of Europe Council. In Yemen, Houthis are still an obstacle. However, we will remain in supporting the legal government to achieve all the interests of the Yemeni people. The current developments in Yemen is one of the biggest examples, unfortunately, on the regional negative effect that is very destructive in the Arab world. Mr. President, our brothers in Palestine are epically resilient on the ground. Their cause is our cause. Their long fighting is an honor to this nation and a sign that the darkness of occupation will be ended by the dawn of freedom. Supporting the Palestinian people and defending their core cause is the duty of every Arab citizen. We all follow up the escalation in the occupied lands due to the policies of repression and killing practiced by the occupation with cold blood. This escalation is an indication for even worse things. Unfortunately, the world is silent, does not defend the two-state solution only by the tongue and applies double standards. The Arab consensus is on this two-state solution as a way to end the occupation and establishment of the independent Palestinian state according to the borders of 1967 with Jerusalem, Eastern Jerusalem as its capital. This can only be achieved with a serious, peaceful process according to the known references and the international law. We invite all the countries in the whole world and in the United Nations to join us in our peaceful fighting to recognize the Palestinian state and approve its membership in the United Nations. The Arab states needs more than ever to enhance its partnerships worldwide. We are looking forward to holding the African Arab Summit, the 5th session, in Riyadh next year, in addition to the Chinese Arab Summit that will be held also in Riyadh next month. Doubtlessly, we will seize these very important international forums to enhance the Arab collective interests, in addition to supporting our stances at the international level. Finally, Mr. President, we want this summit to be really a reunion summit that bridges the gaps and enhances our will. There are many signs, positive signs, that indicate that this summit will cope up with the aspirations of the Arab public opinion in order to turn the Arab solidarity in our minds into programs of action and integrated plans that affect the Arab citizens. Asking God all the guidance. Thank you, Mr. President. May peace and blessings of God be upon you. Thank you, Secretary General, for your valuable speech. It's a pleasure to invite His Excellency Ilham Aliyev, the President of Azerbaijan Republic and the current President of the Non-Bias Movement, to deliver his speech.
Dear Mr. President of Algeria, Abdulmajid Tebboune, dear Mr. General Secretary of Arab League, Ahmed Aboulgate, dear heads of state and government, dear heads of delegations, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'd like to express deep gratitude to the President of Algeria and Secretary General of Arab League for invitation. I consider it as a sign of friendship, as a sign of brotherhood. It's a big honor for me to be present today at this important summit and to demonstrate unity between our countries. I'm especially very glad to visit Algeria on this special day, Day of National Liberation, Day of National Dignity. I congratulate the President, the government of Algeria, all the people of Algeria on the occasion of this Liberation Day. Today, I paid respect to the memory of the martyrs. I visited the Memorial of Martyrs. I visited the Museum of Mujahideen and was deeply impressed and shocked by what I have seen. The brutality, mass atrocities committed by France against the people of Algeria, something which the world should never forget. France conducted a terrible war against Algerian people for more than 130 years, which resulted in the death of more than 1.5 million of Algerians. Today, commemorating this tragedy, we need to do everything in order to avoid these tragedies in the future. Relationship between Arab League and Azerbaijan has special dimension. This summer, I had an honor to receive Secretary General Mr. Aboulgate in Baku. We had broad discussions about our future cooperation. Since 2006, Azerbaijan is an observer to the organization, and we want to expand our cooperation. Today, I participate at the summit as the chair of non-aligned movement, but at the same time, we have a very profound relationship with member states of Arab League. And I'm sure that in the coming years, our cooperation will grow, will have new dimension and new dynamics. We pay special importance to bilateral cooperation with members of Arab League, and we highly value the mutual support and solidarity between us. Azerbaijan is a country which also suffered, like Algeria, from occupation. For 30 years, our lands were occupied by Armenia, and during all these years of occupation, we always felt the support of our Arab brothers. We felt the support of member states of Organization of Islamic States. And Azerbaijan, in its turn, always, in all international fora, supported our Muslim brothers. We contributed largely to Islamic solidarity. 2017 was declared in Azerbaijan the year of Islamic solidarity, and we hosted the 4th Islamic Solidarity Games, which transformed into just a sporting event into a festival of solidarity and friendship. As a chairman of non-aligned movement, Azerbaijan plays an important role on international arena. Non-aligned movement is the second largest after United Nations international institution, which unites 120 countries. Azerbaijan, since 2019, is the chair of this institution, and we've been elected by unanimous decision of all member states, which demonstrates a high level of support and respect to our position and our policy. Our chairmanship was extended again by unanimous decision until the end of 2023, and we consider it as another sign of appreciation of our policy. Our chairmanship coincided with COVID-19, and we took a very proactive stand on that. Azerbaijan provided financial and humanitarian assistance to more than 80 countries with respect to coronavirus. We organized a summit of non-aligned movement. We initiated the special session of United Nations General Assembly devoted to COVID, which was held in December 2020. And all these initiatives had one objective to help the countries which are in need, to help the countries and to mobilize resources, and to help the countries which cannot afford to acquire vaccines. As you remember, dear colleagues, in the beginning of the pandemic, the access to vaccines was the most critical issue. Some developed countries of the West were acquiring the number of vaccines 5–10 times more than they needed, while countries which didn't have resources had to suffer. So Azerbaijan was very vocal against vaccine nationalism, against unfair distribution of vaccines, and that strengthens the support of a non-aligned movement to our position. We are planning to organize a summit of non-aligned movement next March, and I, using this opportunity, would like to invite the members of Arab League, heads of states and government, to participate at the summit. 2 years ago, Azerbaijan put an end to almost 30 years of occupation by Armenia, of almost 20% of our territory. Despite decisions and resolutions of the leading international institutions, Armenia ignored all these decisions and resolutions and continued to illegally occupy almost 20% of our territory. During the times of occupation, more than 1 million Azerbaijanis became refugees and internally displaced persons. Our people became the subject of ethnic cleansing. Armenia committed a genocide of Khojaly in 1992, which is now recognized by more than 10 countries. United Nations Security Council adopted 4 resolutions demanding immediate and unconditional withdrawal of Armenian troops from our territories, but these resolutions were never materialized. And this leads to another important factor, which is a mechanism of implementation of resolutions of Security Council. In some cases, resolutions of UN Security Council are being implemented within days, but in our case, they remained on paper for almost 30 years. This is double standard. This is unacceptable. This is a selective approach to the norms and principles of international law and to obligations of the country. Therefore, Azerbaijan, as a country which suffered from injustice and occupation, is actively working in order to contribute to the cause of unification of approaches to conflicts. All the conflicts must be treated from the same position. There should not be double standards addressing the conflicts. Occupation must be called occupation. 2 years ago, Azerbaijan, as I said, put an end to the conflict. We did it by force. We used our right for self-defense, which is provided by United Nations Charter, Article 51, and we liberated our territory by force. We defeated Armenia. Armenia had to capitulate, and now our territories are free, and we are back. And what we've seen as we returned, we've seen total devastation and destruction of territory which is more than 10,000 square kilometers. It is equal to the territory of some countries. Everything is destroyed. Cities and villages, buildings, historical monuments, graves of our ancestors. 65 out of 67 mosques have been destroyed completely by Armenia during the times of occupation. This is a reflection of Islamophobic essence of terrorist Armenian state. Now we are restoring our citizen villages. We started a program which is called Great Return. We do it with our own resources. Unfortunately, international donor organizations do not help us. We do it on our own. Today, visiting the Museum of Mujahideen, I was informed that during the French occupation, France planted more than 5 million landmines. And it just reminded me of the same what we are suffering now. Armenia planted more than 1 million mines during the times of occupation, and after the war ended, November 2020, we have more than 260 Azerbaijanis who have been killed or severely injured because of the landmines. We are doing it ourselves. We will restore our lands ourselves, and we're already in the process. And we see, again, solidarity from our brothers, from member states, from Arab League. We see support in international institutions, and we're very grateful for that. As the president of the brotherly Azerbaijan, a brother to members of Arab League, as a chair of non-aligned movement, I want to assure you that we will do everything in order to strengthen our solidarity, our unity. And once again, I'd like to express gratitude to President and Secretary General for this invitation. Once again, I'd like to say that it's a great honor for me to be able to address this distinguished audience. I wish you and your people happiness, prosperity, and peace. Thank you.
I'd like to thank His Excellency the President of Azerbaijan Republic for his speech. I'd like to invite His Excellency President Macky Sall, the President of Senegal and the current President of the African Union to deliver his speech. Thank you, Mr. President.
Excellence, Monsieur le Président Abdelmajid Tebboune, chers frères, Majesté, Altesse, Excellence, Monsieur le chef d'État et de gouvernement, Monsieur le secrétaire général des Nations Unies, Monsieur le secrétaire général de la Ligue arabe, Monsieur le président de la Commission de l'Union africaine, Monsieur le secrétaire général de l'OCI, Mesdames, Messieurs les ministres, Mesdames et Messieurs, au nom de l'Union africaine, je vous remercie, cher frère président Abdelmajid Tebboune, pour votre aimable invitation et l'accueil convivial qui nous a été réservé à l'occasion de ce 31e sommet de la Ligue des États arabes. J'apporte le salut fraternel de l'Afrique à tous les frères et sœurs représentant le monde arabe ici réuni. En cette date symbolique du 1er novembre, marquant le 68e anniversaire du déclenchement de la glorieuse révolution algérienne, je rends hommage à vos héros et héroïnes qui ont consenti des sacrifices immenses pour la défense de la liberté, à l'image de l'illustre émir Abdelkader. Voilà ce qui nous rappelle le fondement de la solidarité afro-arabe, tissée dans des valeurs partagées de culture et de civilisation, et dans notre lutte solidaire pour la libération de nos peuples.
Are rooted in our culture and civilization for the independence of our peoples. Morocco is the linking point since the summit held in Egypt 40 years ago. We are working together to achieve our common goals, including the Palestinian cause, which is this cause. We will defend it, and we still defend it, like the rest of the member states in the League of Arab States. We share the Arab governance. We also enhance the cooperation, the Arab-African cooperation. I'd like to salute the initiative of the Islamic Cooperation Bank and the Arab Development Bank in Africa. As you know, in the framework of economic cooperation and investment, we can do more efforts. The lessons learned from the COVID-19 pandemic and the war in Ukraine is the establishment of the free exchange zone in Africa should generate more cooperation in agriculture, housing, infrastructure, mining, energy, and the medical industry. I'd like also here to invite all our partners from the Arab world, including the private sector, to continue the joint efforts in this regard within an economic framework and within the framework also of the investment to benefit from the integration. It's important also to remain committed together in defending the common principles, including culture and civilization. As you know, we want to take the local principles and values to the international level, wishing all success and guidance to the work of this summit. Thank you, Excellency President of Senegal, for your speech. I'd like also to invite Mr. Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General of the United Nations, to deliver his speech.
Monsieur le Président, merci infiniment de votre invitation. Et je remercie le peuple algérien de son hospitalité.
I'd like also to thank the Algerian people for their hospitality, Mr. President. Since I came from a country of colonialism, I'd like to salute you for renewing this historic anniversary.
Your Highnesses, Excellencies,
أصحاب الجلالة، أصحاب السمو، معالي الأمين العام،
Ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies, Royal Highnesses, Majesties,
يشرفني أن
it's an honor
مرة
to
أخرى
be here again in the League of Arab States.
الشراكة القوية بين الأمم المتحدة
trials
وجامعة
and
الدول
tests. Geopolitical divides are growing, inequalities and injustices are deepening. And cooperation is the only way forward. And regional organizations like the League of Arab States have a vital role to play in today's world. We must work together to advance the values based on which the United Nations was born: peace, sustainable development, and human rights. Excellencies, allow me to begin with the ongoing suffering in Palestine. The United Nations position is clear. Peace must advance, the occupation must end. Our shared goal remains two states, Israel and Palestine, living side by side in peace and security, with Al-Quds, Jerusalem, as the capital of both states. At the same time, UNRWA's financial crisis is undermining the rights and well-being of Palestine refugees. I urge you to generally support UNRWA, a vital pillar of regional stability. And I look forward to continuing our work together to address challenges across the region, from Syria, Lebanon and Yemen to Libya, Somalia,